Hey you guys, welcome to Localite. It's great to have you with us. You know, today we are discussing composting, and there's a new company, Dirt Hugger, here in the Gorge, and with me is one of the co-founders, Pierce Lewis, and he's going to talk to us about the company, about what their mission is, how they got involved, and what the importance is of composting and the future of composting. So, Pierce, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I did actually buy one of those kind of garbage can looking things.
Yep.
Put it in my backyard, filled it up with all kinds of debris, made a big smelly mess that attracted just a bunch of flies, and thought, this is ridiculous. Who does this? Obviously you guys are doing this on a massive scale.
Yep.
And you're doing it successfully. And you guys just got your DEQ license.
Yep.
So now you can, I guess, legally do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So explain all that.
So it was about an 8-month process to get the DEQ permitting. In Oregon, they've just changed it over to a much more stringent process. And essentially, the two main things that you're controlling for in a large-scale composting facility, much like your backyard, the first would be odors, so you want to control that. And then the second is stormwater, so you want to be able to contain all of the water that hits your site so that it doesn't flow out into the river or anything else.
Okay.
And so that's essentially when we were working together with DEQ to make sure that we were inside of the specifications for that.
Okay. So they come out then and examine
You do a lot of detailed
and
drawings. So essentially it's civil engineering of designing grades and retention ponds and stormwater management plans. And then also a very detailed operations plan of how exactly you're going to go through the composting process. And like you said, what we're doing is essentially what you're doing in your backyard, but just on a much larger scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's this facility located?
It's right off River Trail Way, sort of near Google here in the Dalles.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically on Port of the Dalles property.
Okay.
And they've been extremely supportive. They've given us a great site, and they've been very supportive with their board and all the staff to help us out.
You came from an aerospace background, is that right?
Yeah.
And you were working for a company out of Hood River called CloudCap.
Yep.
And then your buddy and also now your business partner was also working there. How did you guys go from aerospace into composting, and why?
Yeah, so Tyler and I had both worked at CloudCap. He was a mechanical design engineer, and I worked in international business development. And Tyler actually helped get me hired at CloudCap about 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. And he was one of the original people there. But together we both had sort of a shared interest and passion for sustainability, and we wanted to do some sort of environmental business together. So we had been looking at a lot of different business ideas and ultimately landed on composting. So we had kind of gotten the idea in conjunction with Tri-Counties Recycling and David Skakel. They had essentially commissioned this $50,000 study to look at organics management in the Gorge. So they did a complete survey of how much organic material is out there, what could be composted, and how could that be done. And in parallel, Tyler and I decided, well, this is pretty interesting. Let's research this and think about it at the same time that they're commissioning this study. And at the time that study came out, which was about January or February of this year, we had done a decent amount of research and said, this looks like a good business opportunity as well.
So the study was completely exclusive from you?
It was in parallel, but we didn't have anything to do with it. We decided to do our own research on the side.
Okay.
And look into it. And they came up with there are 210,000 tons of potentially compostable materials in the Gorge, and there was no local capacity. So we thought, well, here's an opportunity. And what we did is in our research process, went and traveled to 10 different composting facilities in 4 different states. We looked all around and looked at a lot of the different models, and we found that essentially a lot of the bigger facilities, which are near large urban centers, required 40,000 tons of material in order to justify building a new facility.
Okay.
And in the Gorge, there are 210,000 tons, but 150,000 of that are forest land. And a lot of that isn't really accessible for composting. So some of the larger facilities, like the one near Seattle, looked at the Gorge and said, there's maybe not enough material for us to justify a new facility.
All right.
So Tyler and I thought, well, maybe there's a model here where you can build a small-scale facility very close to the market versus a large one that's sort of farther away where materials are trucked. And we thought, we'll build a small facility and try to make it profitable on a small scale.
Okay. So like the Dell's transfer station, for instance, was taking all of their materials to Vancouver, I think.
Exactly.
And Burgerville was having all their stuff transported to Seattle. So it was obviously got to be expensive to be doing that.
Yep.
So they're probably pretty stoked to hear that you guys are coming in locally. And how do you do this though from the business model of like making a profit, which is important?
Right. Yeah. So it's a dual revenue stream business,
Okay.
and essentially on the front end we charge a tip fee. So what the Dallas transfer station was doing was boxing up all of the yard debris material that's collected there, either through the residential curbside collection or when people just come with a dump truck full of yard debris. They ship it out to Vancouver and they pay a tip fee there.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've shortened that shipping distance and we charge a tip fee on the front end. Then we go through the composting process, and at the end we sell that compostable rich dirt back into garden centers and other places where people might buy it for their home garden or for a farm.
Okay. Okay. So you have a distribution channel and everything that you're utilizing for that?
We're working on it. So we've just begun the composting process, and it takes about 4 months to have a product at the end. So we haven't actually started selling our compost yet. We're just now collecting the material from the transfer stations.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. You guys stick with us. We'll be right back with Dirt Hugger and Pierce Lewis. So be right back.